All right, Rocco, end of a long road trip. How tough is this ending considering this game really was right there within reach?
Yeah, we had the ball game, I think, within grasp. There was a lot going on today. We kind of had some opportunities really early to get to Manea and, hit some balls good. Didn't seem like many of the balls that we hit good were going to find any grass today, which was tough, but that's fine. We got to keep finding ways to do it and have good at bats. Um, a couple guys get on in the sixth inning, and they found a way. They made contact, they put the ball in play, and they found a way in ways that we were not able to do. It felt like the game was right there. We had a couple guys come in and do their jobs pretty well out of the pen, throw the ball pretty good. Tight ball game, just we couldn't get it done.
Dylan talked about how this game was kind of similar to the last one where it was just a couple soft balls that just dropped in and ultimately made a difference, but he felt pretty good about his stuff. Were you tempted to let him try to work through after those early singles there?
Not in that situation. Not in that situation. We had Pagan up and hot. Pagan's been throwing the ball pretty well. His stuff looks good. He's been throwing the ball better. And Pagan actually came in and didn't really allow very much hard contact either. He allowed, like I said, a ground ball and a kind of a flare to right, and that was really what the game came down to, unfortunately. And that's the game we play. It's not always going to be who barrels the ball up every time. Sometimes you just got to put the ball in play and see what happens.
Do you like Dylan's stuff early in the game before those couple of hits?
It was a good start for Dylan. He was throwing strikes. He was good with his off-speed stuff. He was very efficient going into that sixth inning. He had, very few pitches going into the sixth. And I thought he was still throwing the ball good, and he actually was. So we'll take a start like that any day. It gives us a chance to win.
Like that is often a situation at various points this year where you have pulled your starter in a close game, third time through the order coming up. What led you to keep him in this time?
Well, we did it yesterday. So when you do it the day before, and it worked out well for us the day before, we were able to hold them down pretty well with the guys that came in the game. So I wouldn't do that any differently yesterday. But when you do that the following day, relying on all of the same guys to come in after being used the day before is asking a lot. You're asking them to be perfect from the really the end of the end of the fifth inning on. And plus Dylan was so efficient. He had, I don't know how many pitches he had, but it was not very many. And he looked really good and strong, and there really wasn't a lot of action out there because of the way he was throwing the ball. So we still weren't even at that point. We were at Grisham, I believe, when that inning started out. I would have him facing him all day long. Those first two at-bats, he threw the ball fine. He battled in those at-bats. They won out in those at-bats, and they had a couple of base runners on with nobody out. So at that point, we were going to go to a couple of our guys in the pen and see if they could close the door. Those guys are throwing the ball good. We got guys throwing the ball. A couple of those guys in Pagan and McGill, they're throwing the ball as well as they've thrown it all year long. They look very good, and I'll turn the ball over to them anytime.
These last 5 games against other playoff contending teams, what do they tell you about where you are versus where you're trying to be?
Yeah. Yeah, and also long road trip. A winning road trip and a losing road trip comes down to just some couple of plays in this game. It tells us that we can certainly play with anybody. We can go out there and compete in a tight series against a team like this in San Diego. And it comes down to just at-bats, just winning a couple of at-bats over the course of a series is really the difference between winning and losing a series. But we battled in this series pretty hard. We didn't get the results that we wanted to, but you kind of live to fight another day. We played a good ball game yesterday, played an okay ball game today. We had to play a little better though.
What does the at-bat from Miranda tell you about him, considering his first 2 at-bats? It was the off-speed that he came up short on. And that one, trying to, navigate what the pitcher's going to do to him, and he wins the battle in that way. Excuse me.
Yeah, he makes good adjustments at the plate. He's not going to have the success and hit the ball like he is right now unless you're able to switch things up. You're able to acknowledge what the pitcher's trying to do to you. It's much easier said than done. but he's doing it. He's doing it on a regular basis, and that's why he's been a good producer for us.
Second and third, one out, top of the order coming up. That must have hurt that you didn't get anything out of that.
Yeah, Caleb put down a bunt. We get the runners where they need to be. Those are the guys we want coming up. We want Buck. We want Correa coming up in that spot to get things going, to bring the runs home, to do what they do, and they do it the vast majority of the time. Today we didn't get it. So the guys behind them got on base and gave us a chance. But I liked where we were sitting at that point. It's hard not to like being in that situation. But, in that spot, you put the ball in play, you get a shot. And today we weren't able to do that. But that's where you want to be.